be seeing him. Like, no one be seeing this man. Cow!
The next stage of the mimic's life cycle has two potential morphs it may develop into.
It morphs again?
If a mimic has a consistent supply of food, it will develop more human-like features. It will grow skin, hair, and by the end will look nearly identical to a human being. It now can blend entirely into civilization.
This explains cannibals.
More effectively.
This explains cannibals.
The second type of morph happens when a mimic receives an overabundance of food. It will grow into a larger, more evolved hunter. Its proportions will increase in length, and its humanoid features will fade away. It grows a thick, dark coating of a flexible skin, which is highly durable, and increases in strength the more the elder mimic consumes. This excludes the face, which is now coated in a pale pink skin. The mimic's teeth have also moved deeper into the mimic's throat, leaving its mouth a toothless grin.
Ew.
It uses the dark hue of its skin to hide seamlessly within a dark environment.
Sure.
Its skills have also been heightened. This makes an elder mimic one of the most efficient predators on the planet.
Is his scales bulletproof though?
Because of the obvious threat this poses on humanity, nations around the world have released instructions on how to be able to fend for yourself in a mimic encounter.
I ain't seen
Here
none of
are the
these.
instructions.
1. Avoid going out alone if your location is known to have mimics, or there have been mimic sightings.
Nah, shit.
If you encounter a stationary mimic, seemingly unfazed by your presence, quietly leave the location and alert your local authorities.
Nah,
3. If pursued by a mimic, get yourself into a position where you are able to flee. Mimics will rarely attack if a person has a clear escape route.
duh.
4. In the event that you have been cornered by a mimic, roll into the fetal position, protecting your neck, face, and vital organs from attack. Make as much noise as you can to alert any other people. 5. If you have a weapon, do not use it. A mimic is fairly resilient, and any strikes or shots on a mimic is not effective enough to bring it down in time.
What do you mean shots won't bring it down in time? Then what will?
Instead, use it as a barrier between you and the mimic to block any attacks. 6. In a situation where a mimic is hunting in the immediate area, and is not aware of your position, hide somewhere low, like under a bed or behind other furniture. A mimic will not linger too long to search for prey, and will move on.
Okay, so they're
Be
impatient.
safe and avoid any encounters with a mimic.
Mimics
at all
are
times.
impatient and they don't like wasting time.
Next up, the harvester.
No, nope,
Next up,
nope.
the harvester.
I need to see what's happening with my prince. I need a harvester. Let's see what's happening with my prince though. But the prince's sleep was long. He slept for what it seems like forever. As he slept, the land around him started to change and grew. It was unrecognizable from when the prince first arrived, but the sleep still needed time to heal the prince. Much more time, but it kept the prince safe while he was resting, guarding him from the elements of the land change. My nigga, how long did he have to sleep? Jesus needed 3 days. How long do you need? Golly.
The harvester. The harvester is a large, bulbous mass with a large amount of tendrils spread.
I seen that in Call of Duty Ghost Extinction. That was like the first map right there, or I think it's every map. You have to get through some of these. I remember those.
Spreading from the base. The bulb measures around 3 meters in height and 2 meters in diameter. The tendrils, on the other hand, can extend up to 150 meters in diameter horizontally.
Damn!
The harvester is a specialized form of crawl that grows in the unique and deadly
That's
way.
like a pimple.
A harvester is created when a node that will grow into a harvester. Instead of
The
separating,
crawl just
continues
spawns
to
all
grow.
of these.
Eventually, it will grow tendrils of its own. It uses the energy provided by its mother branch and expands its reach further. Its tendrils, hidden just below the surface of the ground. The harvester is equipped with 2 types of specialized tendrils. The first type
Those
is
tendrils
bulky
sound like
and
roots.
flat. They lie
Those are not roots. I'm mistaken. Those are not roots.
closest to the surface. The first type is bulky and flat. They lie the closest to the surface. These branches are lined on each length of the tendril with spines, extending in the shape of a bear trap. On each side of the branch, those particular spines have a vein that feed into them, that pump two types of venom. On one side,
Damn,
the
two
spines can
types?
inject a neurotoxin, which will attack the nervous system of whomever
Damn.
it's injected into, causing sudden paralysis. The other side can inject an anticoagulant, which when injected, prevents blood cells from clotting. Whenever a large animal moves across the area armed with these tendrils, the branches will clamp onto the animal and thrash
Like
violently.
a Venus top fly trap.
Once the prey has been injected with both venoms, the tendrils will rest and the prey will immediately collapse. The animal will be unable to move due to the paralysis, and the wounds caused by the thrashing spines will not stop bleeding. All the prey can do is lie patiently, until succumbing to blood loss. Once the prey has bled
That's so
out,
nasty.
the second type of tendrils come in. They lie below the spine equipped once. These branches are thick, but very sturdy. They share similar anatomy to the small branches of the crawl, equipped with organelle that absorbs nutrients.
I'd piss on this
These
thing.
tendrils sense the blood, and move their way to the surface and begin to absorb the vital fluid. Once the blood has been consumed, the tendrils will wrap around the body and begin to shuffle downwards. This movement loosens the soil and slowly pull the body underground.
Broken. These are
Once
overpowered.
secure, the tendrils will continue to feed until they're
What's more
nothing but
overpowered?
scraps.
The mimic or the harvest?
The nourishment
Which one?
absorbed by the tendrils will be sucked back into the
Which one's
main
more
bulb of the
overpowered?
harvester. This bulb houses all the vital organs and the venom glands that pump into the spines. The nutrients are then converted into usable energy.
Damn.
The remains underground decompose, providing a rich soil, causing very prominent plant growth, which then attracts more animals.
Good for the environment.
A strange behavior the harvester displays as its choice of diet. The spines will only activate on larger animals, allowing smaller ones to pass by unaffected.
So the large
The
animals can
spines
eat
will
those.
also not activate on some species of bird. There are a couple theories as to why this happens. One, it could be that attacking smaller animals would cost too much energy for what they get in return,
Okay.
making it not worth the time.
Facts.
Another could be that smaller animals may attract larger
The
animals
large
or
ones,
predators,
yes.
allowing a
Yes,
safe
that's what I was
place for
thinking.
prey.
I'm in a bad mood.
I see you, buddy.
They may thrive and lure more predators. It truly is astonishing.
It's a really...
Although it is a spectacular creature, it is also very dangerous. The
Oh,
harvester
really?
is decently rare, only populating sparse areas in the northern hemisphere and woodland forests.
And it's still on the East Coast. So right now, the East Coast has to do with everything. Crawl, the ugly niggas, mimics, and the harvester. Man.
If you are stung by a harvester, there will be no way of helping you, being that there is no cure.
Damn.
And fatality is 100% positive.
Y'all haven't found a cure yet? 100% fatality? I think he's more dangerous than the mimic. Like, the mimic has ways to stop it. They said it is impossible to stop this thing. That's insane. Family attacked by the authorities refused to handle the harvester? The authorities tapped out?
You don't want to fight.
The best thing you can do is avoid encountering a harvester in the first place.
Duh.
If you are hiking, take note of any warnings or signs saying that there are harvesters around.
Or bomb
If you
him.
also notice an abundance of lush, ground-dwelling plants in a forested area, and there are no signs of wildlife, this is suspicious and you should leave the area.
They say, they just said if you see beautiful plants with no bears, you have to leave. How many places is that? That's everywhere. Okay, not everywhere, but that's a lot of places.
To the base of large trees or rocks. If you find yourself in the middle of a harvester ground, do not panic. Sudden movements may activate the tendrils and will inject you. Although a
No.
harvester is rather forgiving, do not risk any skittish movements.
What do you mean forgiving?
If you have any objects with considerable heft, like coats, backpacks, or full water bottles, gently take that object and lightly toss it towards the vault and away from your escape route. This will activate the spines on heavy object flash.
So you said do not panic. We can't even call 911 to deal with this though. Like the authorities can't even deal with it. You're holding your own. That's BS.
Distracting the bulb for a moment. You will then slowly begin to do wide shuffles away from the bulb. If possible, throw another object when you are certain you are a fair enough distance away, just to be safe. Continue until you are completely sure you have
Nick like me will run.
escape. But don't be too obnoxious, or you will be a harvester's next meal.
What do you mean too obnoxious? What do you mean by that?
The hose.
Oh, the hose? I don't know what that word is. The first word. Oh, outside the cave. Oh, outside the cave during the time of hardship lived the island critters. They were struggling with Okay.
The host of influence.
Host of influence. He's like influencer. He's me.
Influence, more commonly referred to as the host, has its name derived from a host who invites guests to an event.
Okay.
Not to be confused with the host, a harborer of parasites or disease. The host is a semi-humanoid looking organism. It has the structure of a head, torso, and arms. Other than this, it shares no other characteristics. The lower half of the host is comprised of a mass of fibrous tissue and tendrils that burrow into the ground to hold the host in place. Instead of skin, the host is covered in muscular tissue fibers, tendons, and veins.
So he kind of weak for real.
Large exposed areas.
He's kind of weak.
allowing movement. The host's head has a smooth surface where the face should be, attached to a crooked neck, which houses a slit in the front used for feeding. On the host's back is a mound of pores. Protruding from these pores are a hollow, hair-like structure, extending outwards. These hairs are barrels that pores produced by being fired into the air.
Okay. He doesn't seem too bad.
Spores are hazardous, so keep clear of them at all costs.
What was that? The KKK! Who is hosting KKK meetings. I don't even know what I'm looking at.
Clear of them at all costs. Rare, only found in North America.
So we just have everything. Right, they just can't leave us alone.
Obtaining info about the host is a very risky and daunting task. This is because of their rarity and of how dangerous it is to be up close to one. The source released by
I get a picture of
release a cloud of spores into the air.
Wear a mask.
Picked up by wind and carried great distances.
Wear a
When
mask.
an organism inhales the spores, the particles will find their way into the organism's brain and infect them.
You might need
An
more than
infected
mass.
organism will show no symptoms of infection right away, but a couple hours after infection, the infected organism's behavior and thought process will change. The first symptoms that appear: sluggish.
You might need a good
lack
mask.
of coordination.
A really good
More
mask.
serious symptoms appear over time. These include dizziness, migraines, impaired speech, and trembles.
Them niggas give you a speech impediment. they make you tweak and stutter. That's insane.
Or someone you know show these symptoms, contact poison control or emergency services. After a total of 6 to 7 hours after infection, the organism will cease all activities they were previously doing and begin to walk. The direction the infected will walk is towards the host whose spores have been inhaled by the infected individual.
Oh,
If the infected makes their way to the host, they will kneel down in front of it, expose their vital organs, and the host will promptly gut and remove those organs. The host will consume them and discard the leftover scraps.
so they manipulate them into being food. Is that worse than the harvest? I still don't think that's worse than the harvest because there's still time to do something about it. There's not much you could do. You're screwed if you live alone, but still.
However, if an infected organism doesn't reach the host within a 36-hour span or is treated for their infection, the effects will wear off and return back to normal.
Weak. He's weak.
If a host is unable to find prey or doesn't like its current location, it will unroot itself and move to a new location.
That's so funny.
Their scarce numbers and the hazard of being around one makes getting info about the host very daunting. All you need
Yeah.
to currently know is that the host is extremely dangerous and should be avoided at all costs.
Bro, all I would do is I would go find the host, snap my pictures, and then call poison control because I know I'm gonna be tweaking later. Although one day the critters found a cave while searching for food. They found the prince in trance in his healing sleep. The critters were so in awe and struck and enchanted by the prince's magic. Okay, so the prince enchanted these people. I thought they were gonna try to eat them.
The monolith is a very new creature, only showing up in June of 1972 in the area of
It's the one place that was girl. It was on the one place that was white. I told y'all something was going on there. So what's the monolith?
There are only 7 monoliths, all of them located in a circular
The
position,
Illuminati?
1.5 kilometers in diameter. This
What?
ring of monoliths surround. The monolith is a Titanic-sized being, measuring roughly 120 meters in height.
If that was the case, I would have seen one of them niggas. Cap!
Each monolith has 2 trunk legs that are firmly embedded underground.
What the
Legs connect to a torso. The creature itself is made of hundreds of thousands of meaty strands, tightly woven together to form the structure. These strands end at the neck, fusing into a solid mass of hardened flesh in the shape
Hell
of an
nah.
upside-down triangle, with a hole in its center.
Hell nah.
On each side of the monolith where arms would be, there are dozens of long, rope-like appendages. These reach just barely to the ground. At the creature's feet, the strands go deep into the earth and extend horizontally a decent distance away.
Those strands look like they just molest the horse core, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like they're just gripping all over the core without consent. These strands are unconsented, you can tell.
What the monoliths do is simply stand and do nothing. The only
Wow.
activity documented that the monoliths have done was in. During this period, they were extremely aggressive. When the group of were making their way to the city, the monolith that they had passes roared a deep bellow and swung its appendages at the team, completely wiping them out.
Damn.
When military vehicles were
Tragic.
dispatched, once they got close enough to top the monolith, it roared another call, this time releasing an EMP blast, completely knocking the vehicles out in the vicinity.
Tragic.
Finally, long-distance rockets were fired and struck the creature.
So were those like the original people? That was the original princess like on an island thing? I don't know. They look like they could have grown that tall. You feel what I'm saying? It looked like they were on an island, so it could be the original people. I'm just saying. looking at chat and I'm looking at the camera, so I don't have to look at the screen.
Although damaged, it regenerated at great
Let's see if I missed anything. Oh, cause it just said photograph. Okay.
Although damaged, it regenerated at great speed and resumed its stance unscathed.
Okay.
Eventually, the area has been fenced off and is now restricted to all. Ever since, the monolith stands silently, now only a grand spectacle of awe and mystery.
I'll punk
adding
those
more
minute.
questions to these meat beings.
I'll beat their ass.
And finally, the last creature on this list is...
Okay, it's the Earth. It's 104 days of summer vacation. I'm gonna assume that says the prince woke up something. Who is this creature?
A few inches later.
So these are the monoliths. That's my theories.
The singularity is an orb comprised of a dark-colored mineral with hints of luminous colors within
It's
its
black.
core.
It's a black circle.
Singularity is estimated to be 1 meter in diameter. The orb has several unique qualities that are not well understood. The singularity typically can be found suspended in air by an unseen force. There are also a variety of readings that have been documented coming from the orb itself. Various things like magnetic fields, energy signatures, and other patterns.
I'll produce that too.
Released by the singularity. The population of these creatures is unknown.
What if the prince is the singularity? And instead of the prince coming out of his healing chamber, the dwarves around him mess with him, and the dwarves are protecting this thing, and this thing is the prince. Something like that.
Almost all info about the singularity is hidden or confiscated by officials. We were only able to receive one classified document about the singularity being held by...
marvelous and majestic world that exists today. It's as extraordinary to have such strange and mysterious beings appear all around us.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us on this journey of exploration and discovery of the lives.
You're
of
welcome,
these
bro.
beings.
All I know is I figured out that I'm the singularity. Nigga, I'm him. That's what I found out. What a beautifully constructed video.
The strongest aspect of analog horror has to be its ability to truly strike you at your personal core, making you feel like your personal space is actively being invaded. Just the mere act of viewing the content poses a threat to your safety. To be fair, that sense of looking over your shoulder can come from all sorts of horror and thriller content, but analog horror is really the one to hit the nail when it comes to making it feel right at home. This is one of the main reasons why analog horror content like Greylock and Vita Carnis were so intensely frightening. In each series, it was a major point that the creatures could very easily get into your homes unprotected, and from the places I've seen in Basewood County, this one is all about it. You guys sent me some recommendations for this series, so by all means, I'm very excited to check this one out. However, if we end up with wet woods and endless nightmares, don't be afraid. Basewood County, Entry 1. At 2:26 in the morning, the emergency broadcast system is activated by local radio to issue a warning involving a humanoid creature that has invaded the area. As of this moment, there has already been 11 murders seem like a lot for one couple. Any contact with this creature is likely to result in the loss of limbs, including straight-up decapitation, but they also partake in neck stabbings as well.
The victim's bodies show decapitation, absence of arms and hands due to amputation, stabbing in the neck. It is clear that there is a hostile creature around you and you should do the following. Close your doors and windows. Grab any weapon. Hide in your basement or the attic.
After being given our instructions, the characteristics of these creatures are then listed on the screen. We learn that they are tall with long limbs, fingers, and neck. Not to mention an unnatural face, menacing eyes, and they're smiling. It also says they have short brown hair, so I guess we won't have any blonde attackers. To help us further keep our safety intact from these monsters, we are shown 5 police sketches drawn based on eyewitness accounts. These people are highly lucky because it seems the likelihood of surviving an encounter with one of these things. The first 2 figures seem pretty ordinary, but 4 and 5 are where it starts to get unsettling. Is it strange that I find image 5 scary than image 4? Following images, we are presented with actual footage being provided. Are these those eyewitness accounts? Because I don't think I said I'm ready yet. What gets presented to us at first is just this "Have you seen this face?" poster stuck up on a tree. The quality makes it impossible to out of the bottom. The face alone is something I do not want to see walking alone at night. The camera pans directly downwards to a sewer grate where we hear a deep guttural growl coming from below. Yeah, I probably won't be sleeping tonight. The next piece of footage we get comes straight from inside the victim's home. This is the kind of stuff I was talking about where it gets a bit too personal for my liking. Our poor victim stands in their empty dark hallway, where ominous laughter can be heard from the void. Unfortunately, once the humanoid figure reveals himself, our character doesn't stand much chance. It appears the creature takes control of the camera to show off his handiwork. According to officials, what was found in the basement of the home was just this image here. Pardon my incredibly rough translation, the quality makes this one quite difficult. In summary, this reads to us that this creature is going to kill everyone in the family, and it's going to cut them up into many pieces, and that it looks like a human. This looks to be from a very long time ago. Ancient even, I'd say. Perhaps this creature has been around for a lot longer